What is happening here? What?
Okay, no, but seriously, this is something I have been wondering about for a while. Why is the right so cringe? The stuff that they do to proclaim their loyalty to the decrepit Cheeto, that is completely unironic and completely humiliating. Wearing gauze pads taped to their ears, gold adult diapers, bottles of fake JD Vance men, shit like this. I understand that their worldview is incredibly different than ours, and that they love to engage in really juvenile, unsophisticated attacks, as does their leader. And I know that the Cheeto says he loves the uneducated. But it just seems that, like, the level of cringe weirdness, Governor Walz was right, they're weird. That there's no limit to that real cringy weirdness. And I don't understand how that all is so normalized for them. But I do think it's going to get a lot worse. Get off TikTok, cat lady. No, I realize this troll comment is likely a bot or a deeply insecure Trumper. But since this backup account is new and I can only follow 50 new people a day and the algorithm hasn't really figured out where to place me yet, my content keeps getting shown to the Cheeto head side of TikTok. And on my main, I have successfully blocked enough of those folks and gotten the TikTok algorithm to figure out not to show my content to those people or bring them my way. And a couple of my videos in the last few days have gotten hundreds of comments from MAGAts. And they all are very similar. It's like they cut and paste from the same Truth Social twit or the same 4chan post, or like they share around a list of talking points that they think are owning the libs. And I've spent time on my main account poking fun at these folks. And in fact, there was a video where another dude similar to Robert English tried to call me a cat lady like it was some kind of sick own. And I reposted it to Facebook as a reel, where I earned over $200 off that one video alone. So these kind of dudes have their utility. But I also just want to reiterate here one more time. There's nothing wrong with owning cats. There's nothing wrong with being a cat lady. Now, I don't have any cats, but Robert here doesn't realize what a self-own it is. That when asked to choose man or cat, so many women, highly educated women, successful women, would gladly choose a cat over a man. You cannot compete with a cat, Robert. And it's funny, the, almost dozen comments I got that were something like this are all men telling on themselves. It's such a fantastic cell phone that they really think they had something there. They really thought they were, cutting women down, cutting me down, saying something biting, hurtful, when all they're doing is broadcasting how pathetic, insecure, and unworthy they are of having a place in a woman's life. Okay, so I know I said this in my last video, but I think it's interesting how, because this is a new backup account, TikTok doesn't know quite who to show my content to. A couple of my videos have been shown to the MAGAt side of TikTok, and boy, oh boy, those folks cannot help themselves. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of comments. And maybe when I was new to TikTok, I would get a little bit freaked out by those kind of, fragile and deeply bitter and angry people leaving a deluge of hateful comments. But I was going through and blocking some of them. Obviously, I can't block all of them. I stopped replying a long time ago. Actually, a mutual of mine said that these anonymous accounts that may likely be bots that all leave kind of the same comment, that if you reply to them, it can trigger the bot reporting your account. I have no idea if that's true or not, but I definitely don't reply to anonymous accounts anymore. My strategy with any of these MAGAts is just to block and move on. Now, TikTok only lets me block 100 accounts at a time. So that tells you, the fact that I've had to do that repeatedly, how many of these folks are just vomiting up nonsense. But they all leave the same kinds of comments. And as I said in my previous video, I don't know if they have some talking points, a little memo that they pass around to each other, or if some Fox News host says something and they think oh my God, that's so deep, that's so witty. I'm going to write that down so that I can be sure to use it in the comments of every quote unquote lib that I see on social media. Right. I think it's interesting that they always say, get over it. Y'all committed an insurrection after the 2020 election. Y'all never stopped saying that the 2020 election was stolen. All I said was that it is frustrating that Merrick Garland failed to show adequate leadership and failed the American people. Also, they all say Trump derangement syndrome, which is a bizarre term. They can't stop talking about Hunter Biden's laptop. Derangement syndrome, they can't stop talking about Hillary's emails. I also think that it shows I also think it shows not only the deep level of insecurity, but the lack of sophistication, lack of education, that these folks consistently lob ad hominems, the same kind of tired insults over and over and over. They like to insult somebody's physical appearance. It usually is a comment on the fact that I have a nose ring, or they don't like my fashion choices, or they like to make fun of my glasses. Like they think that is going to wound me. Like they have no capability to undertake a critical analysis, to engage in thoughtful conversation. They just resort to ad hominems. This is what Trump says. I mean, that first of all, he models that for them. And like, I'm not going to engage with these people, and this is probably the last I'll talk about it, but I think it is such a testament to the lack of education, the insecurity and fragility that manifests in these kind of like angry, petty, personal attacks, and the level of like patheticness that they think that those are like real zingers. They think that they have a win when they leave comments like that. The lack of self-awareness about how juvenile their strategies are. I mean, I guess maybe those kind of comments would hurt them if they were directed at them. But for me, it just really demonstrates what a tremendous rift we have in America. Not only in how we vote, but how we think, how we experience the world, how we are educated, what we think is acceptable behavior, what we think is efficacious, what we think is strategic and a smart move. Like, there's just such a huge disconnect in our worldview. It really makes me wonder, like, are we fundamentally so different now? Are we socialized so differently? Like, what is the pathway toward reaching those people, forming any kind of community? Are they a lost cause? I don't know. When I see hundreds of comments like that, I just think this is the mindset of my fellow Americans. This is the way that they choose to go through life, how they choose to treat other people. No wonder they voted that way. No wonder. And I just don't know how to reach those people, what that would even look like, what hope there is for them.